Hi, my name's Jason Thorley and I have created Tree Tents International, and we make great camping structures, outdoor cabins and tree houses. I was always quite intrigued into just making spaces for myself to sort of disappear into, and it was like a little escape when I was a kid to be able to make these dens and things, mainly at that age out of cardboard and sellotape. I also liked climbing trees a lot when I was a kid. That's just all evolved into making these cool spaces up in the trees. I think I was inspired by a guy called Tom Chudley in Canada who had created these amazing tree houses called Free Spirit Spheres. They were made from cedar strip. The thing I really liked about it was that they were suspended from the trees. I'd spoken to Tom on a couple of occasions about being able to build those here in the UK, and he was really up for getting his idea and his concept out further. Trying to ship his product in from Canada, being a 3-metre sphere, was sort of not on the cards, so we looked at building those here. I'd sketched up a few ideas of a tree tent, and they were pretty much concept drawings at that time on my design website. And one day I got a phone call from a TV production company, phoned me up and said, "Oh, we really love your tree tent. Can we film you building one and putting one up?" And so I was like, yeah, sure. I sort of went along with that and put the phone down. Then picked the phone up to my friend who I'd done lots of silly projects with before, and I said to him, "I've got this crazy idea for a suspended round tree house. Can you help me out?" So that's what spawned it on, really. Here we are at Tree Tents HQ down in the south coast of Brighton. We have our workshops and offices on a running campsite. The guy who runs the campsite, Tim, was quite interested in having a tree tent for people to stay in. Tim's ethos was really to make a site that wasn't your typical campground. So the real aim in the site was to let the wildlife and plants flourish, really. The site is mainly pitch camping, but then if people don't want to come and bring all their own stuff, they can come and stay in one of our tree tents. Gridshell's been here for a few years now. We try not to have conventional rectangular or square windows and doors, which does end up causing us a lot of problems. So this is a solution to a triangular door. It fitted the shape of the structure, but we had to have this way of stop it coming and banging in. So we have this little turny cam here, which releases it. And then this rope, which is set onto a 4-kilogram weight, which is just enough to keep our door from closing in, but not so much that it takes too much to close it. It's sort of big enough really to have a couple of double beds in and provide a nice space for people to camp in. This is ash that we use in here. It's really nice structural, strong wood, forming that double curvature in here. It's just got this really nice flow. So this tree tent, it's been up here probably 4 or 5 years now. It's mainly suspended from the 2 oaks we have here. This one, we use a couple of tree bolts in them. Great thing about them is that as the trees move, then the structure will respond with that. So as you're inside, you feel really connected to what's there holding you. So alongside the tree tent, we usually try to make our access up to them sort of really quite simple. Some can be just, a really easy entry ladder, or you could use a rope ladder if you wanted. Fabric material is really great for this type of structure. One, it can move with the structure itself, but I think it just takes you back to those days of camping. Basically, is the whole structure of this tree tent is through this. We have our 4 beams coming out the top, which give us our stability, and the end of these beams then hold the wooden frame. And we have the same beams under the floor here, which is holding the floor in place. Something I really like to do with design is really to make the structure the aesthetic piece. So we have lovely domed acrylic skylight at the top. Yes, we're using plastic, and also now we've got our suppliers to use completely 100% recycled acrylic. In this particular tree tent, we've got 3 single beds, but we can vary that to a single and a double, and we can put a wood stove in and desk and chairs and things like that. Some storage hatches underneath the floor where you can pop your bags. Having a space of this size, you've got to be quite clever in the design. Nice thing with it being a sphere is we have our floor plan, but as the sphere comes out, then that's where our seats go into that dead floor space area in a way. This we can sit in during the day, and we can open up the cupboard doors underneath, which then become supports for, we can just hold the cushion up, then we can flip the bed over there. It sits on our open doors, which gives us our support. And when we open out that cushion, and that gives us a really good full-size double bed. For our inner lining panels, we looked at a number of fabrics that we could use, and we actually found one of the best materials for this particular environment was wool. And wool has just some amazing properties. Firstly, it's naturally fire retardant. Secondly, wool, it can absorb condensation, and as it absorbs moisture, it heats up. So yeah, it's a lovely, great material. It's totally biodegradable after use as well, and we just love it. This is what we call our clean workshop. Most of the time we do things like sewing in here for our tree tent canvases and other bits and pieces, and sort of clean work really that doesn't want to be in a dusty environment. Predominantly the models we make are made in exactly the same way as we make our real full-size parts. By putting that together, it just means that we can sort of see any issues that we might find in putting together this real thing. So this is our fuselage structure. It's built a bit like an aircraft fuselage would be, in that you've got structural ribs surrounded by a skin, and we use a 1mm thick aluminium skin. Fuselages are generally a stilted structure, so we can vary the length of these legs depending if it's on a hillside. It can get you up in the woods, and also just, you know, give the land underneath somewhere to breathe and exist too. And with the fuselage we can have solar panels on the top, and also this space underneath, this curved space under the floor here, means we can store batteries and other things like that. So we can make them really good off-grid living spaces. This shows the tree tent model. We built this model actually after we'd built the real tree tent. It's really quite useful in that it really helps us just sort of be able to test a new rigging. I opened my computer one morning and there was an email there from Bear Grylls, and this was the day after April Fool's Day, so my first reaction is, this isn't real, this is a joke. But yeah, Bear Grylls had seen what we did, really liked it, and was after a tree house for his kids to play in his garden. So because he, you know, had that military background, we kept on with this aeronautical theme and designed him a wing. You could sign this off to actually fly, and one thing actually, when we delivered it, we had to turn it round on the trailer. So as we were going along the road, it didn't actually lift the trailer up. We really try to keep a zero waste policy here at Tree Tents. So any leftover off-cut bits of fabric that we have from making our main structures, we won't throw away. We'll make it into something. So a lot of the outer canvas from our tree tents, the offcuts of that, we make bags and a bit of end-of-line webbing that's not long enough to use for a tree tent. So we'll use that in there. How can I produce something that is really lightweight and uses minimal parts, and having that part to do more than just one job, at least 2 or 3. And so that efficiency in the design means that you're using less material, you're using less parts, you're using less energy to make those parts. So that's another key ingredient. And even the logistics of where it's transported from. So it's a real holistic approach to key fine details of a lot of things. I think a lot of people can live in big houses, but actually, you know, you can accumulate a lot of stuff. You start to not need that stuff when your life is enriched by other things. Bring down the size of your house, but actually open it up into nature, you know, into the trees. Look at the site where it is, look at the light you're getting in, and how that space can be healthier for you. And then you'll be more enriched and you won't need all that stuff. Have that holistic approach again to where you are, the site around you. There's a permaculture approach to living that you can go to, but after you've made that step and you realise that what's really important to you, you'll find yourself, you'll be a lot happier. Yeah.